each person is an individual. It's hard to kind of paint this generation. What I can say is that the conditions in which this generation is living is quite different from the conditions that I was living in the 1970s and 1980s. I think that perhaps young people don't feel the same kind of push, or there's not the same kind of urgency. There was, when I was about 18, 19, you still felt as if you had to push history forward, right? You were struggling against this huge barrier. And I think once that victory, because it was a victory to end apartheid in South Africa, once that was won, sometimes people perhaps become a little bit complacent, right? Or maybe it's not even complacency. Sometimes it's that conditions have changed and there are new struggles, right? So the conditions have changed. Does that make any, am I making sense? Yeah. Right, so whereas beforehand we were seeing race as being the thing that was bothering us, or the thing that we needed to change, that challenge, although racism still exists, that although that challenge has been overcome in some ways, there are other challenges, right, that people are having to face. For example, in the 1980s, we weren't talking as much about the environment, right? But we know now that we only have this world to live in, and if we don't take care of it, there's not going to be anything left, right? So I think that is something that preoccupies perhaps your generation a lot more than my generation. I should ask you that question, actually. I think you're more well-equipped to deal with that particular question. That I think that it's useful. I think that in this moment in history it's useful, but it's not necessarily something which, it's not necessarily something that I would want to exist forever and ever until eternity. It's a program that I imagine having